Happy New Year, Laziali all over the world. Welcome to another episode of Lazio Lounge, the first episode of the new year. As you can see, there's no Alistair McKenzie, and this is just the right way to start the new year. I'm here with Carsten Crow. Thank you, Carsten, for joining me. Plenty of things to talk about. Transfer market starting, a review of the last year, and, a lot of things to talk. So if you have questions, pop it up in the chat, and we are ready to go. Carsten, first of all, Happy New Year, and thanks for joining me.
Thank you very much, and Happy New Year to you as well, Vittorio. I've never done this before, so please tell me when I'm doing something wrong, because it will happen, I'm sure.
Nah, no, you're great. You don't worry. You can do worse than Alistair. So, I know it's easy, but it's a start. It's a start. So first of all, Carsten, let's go back and review a little bit last season of Lazio. Probably one of the most disappointed season of Lazio in the past years, right? We were expecting much more after the last year with Simone Inzaghi. Instead, I was a little bit disappointed.
Yeah, I don't know if I was really. I mean, I considered then when Sai was coming in, maybe I kind of thought that it would take about a year or so before he sort of had his team ready. Also because he wanted to change the system completely. So I don't know. I mean, we're three points behind Juventus right now, 7 points behind fourth place. It's not great by any means, but I don't think it's a disaster either.
Yeah, but talking about the last 6 months of Simone Inzaghi, probably that's where we were expecting something more, right? The beginning of Sarri, I agree with you. We could expect maybe a couple of points more. We've been unlucky in some situation, but I got the impression that Inzaghi didn't want to stay, and the team understood that situation and didn't play the level we were usual to see, right?
I think I agree with you. I think that our spring wasn't that great, and the spring before was terrible, and I'm sure you remember that, because that's when Lazio actually had a chance to win the Scudetto 2 years ago. And then the spring was just horrible. I mean, they could have played with you and me, and they would have basically had the same tally, the same points after the season. So I don't know what happened in the spring, but I think that we talked about the fact that Simone Inzaghi had a tendency to use the same players over and over and over again. And when you also play in Europe, in the spring, they just become tired.
Yeah, you need to rotate. Talking about players, you know quite well Denis Vavro. He didn't have a big impact with the club. Inzaghi didn't like it. You could see that. Were you surprised to see him performing so bad or better? Didn't have any chance at all at Lazio?
I mean, Denis Vavro is a strange case in Lazio because he was sold from FC Copenhagen for, I think, $11 million, 11 million euros, which is a lot of money for Lazio, I think. And he was the best central defender in the Danish league for FC Copenhagen, who won the championship easily the year before Lazio bought him. So I think that he was kind of a hot commodity all around the world. I'm very disappointed that he didn't get to play. I also think it's a bit strange because he's a very versatile defender. He's very quick. He's very strong. He's maybe not the most intelligent defender, but in Denmark, he played next to a very experienced older defender, someone a little bit like Atjabi, actually, who could basically tell him where to go and how to win the ball, and then he would do the thinking for him. But also in FC Copenhagen, they always play with 4 people in the back. And of course, we know Inzaghi didn't do that. He played 3 in the back. And I don't know what Vavro was like by 3 in the back. Maybe he just can't play in that system.
Did you expect to see Vavro have at least a chance now with Sarri playing with a 4-man defense? He's in the list, but didn't play a single minute. So, I thought changing the manager, other players like Cataldi has more chances. Vavro didn't have any chance at all, even in the summer at the training camp. Nothing.
No, I think that's it's interesting because I thought that maybe Inzaghi just didn't like Vavro. And Inzaghi, I think, was a great coach for Lazio, but he also, there was basically 13 players that he relied on and almost nobody else, and you didn't get much of a chance when you were a new player in Lazio in general. I think maybe Sarri would have given him a bigger chance, but he hasn't done that. So maybe they can see something in practice that you and I can't see, Vittorio. And I'm sure that, there's two coaches now who has basically said they don't want to use Vavro. I don't think that's a coincidence. Maybe he's just not good enough.
Or do you think Iglitare said, look, we want to sell this guy, so let's not play him because maybe he get injured and we're going to lose the chance to send him off? Do you think that's an option, or I'm too trying to find another reason why? Because when he played in Spain, he didn't play bad at all. I mean,
no.
yes, it's a lower team. It's not playing for Champions League, etc. But he didn't play bad. So I don't understand what's going on.
No, I mean, the funny thing is that I saw all the games that he played, I think 2 seasons ago in Lazio. And I think he did well, Vavro. He wasn't that bad at all. So I think it was weird that he didn't get other chances. And when you think of Patrick getting in front of him, I mean, I just don't get that at all. That's he must be. Then you have to consider how bad must he be in practice if someone like Patrick gets in front of him.
Yeah.
So I don't know, and maybe Sarri is looking more favorably towards him, but it certainly looks like he's basically out of it completely.
I want to talk to you about something different than we usually do.
Sure.
We know that in Sweden, Lazio is very popular because of Sven-Goran Eriksson. What about in Denmark? How is Lazio considered? Is it popular? Are there fan clubs? Are there players that are very popular there that play for Lazio? How is Lazio popular in Denmark?
I think that Lazio is popular, like maybe like the fourth or fifth club in Italy in general. There's been a lot of Danish players through history who's been playing in Italy, but most of them have been playing in the northern part of Italy. So in Milan, in Torino. We don't really have a lot of players in Roma or in Lazio. Lazio, I think, is fairly popular. I think a lot of people like them, but they have this, and we talked about this when I visited you in Rome. They still have this sort of, some people consider them a little right wing, and it's such a difficult story to turn around, if you know what I mean. Because when you talk to people who really know about this stuff, they know that Lazio is not right wing at all. But they had some spectators years ago who was really, really bad, and it kind of seems to follow Lazio around. It really kind of does.
Yeah. Well, I remember Michael Laudrup playing for us. It's true he was on loan. He was from Juventus. He played just 1 year, I think, and that year was terrible. If I'm not wrong, Lazio got relegated from Serie A. But yeah, that's probably the best Danish player we had for Lazio ever, I think.
He's basically the best Danish player of all time. But he just wasn't the best player for Lazio, and actually not for Juventus either. But he made his name in Barcelona.
Yeah. Is Durmisi half Danish?
No, he's full Danish. Yeah.
He's full Danish. So, It didn't work out quite well. Another player, he played well with Betis. He brought Betis to the Europe League, which is, a great achievement for that type of team. Obviously, he wasn't the number one player. But again, I expected him to do much more at Lazio. And again, he had like 6 months to prove he's worthy. And then after that, he didn't have a single chance. I'm surprised again.
I'm very surprised as well. Risa Dumisi, I think when he was in Lazio, he was actually on the Danish national team, which is a fairly good team. I mean, it's not Italy, it's not Holland, but it's a good team,
Oh, definitely.
But he was kicked off a little bit later by the coach that we had back then, a Norwegian guy, who kicked him off. And basically, he kicked him out of the team because he wasn't good enough defensively. And I think that was the problem in Lazio as well. I think that going forward, there's nothing wrong with him. He's quick. He's got good passing ability. He can dribble past defenders. But going backwards, he's just not a very good player. He's always been one of those players, kind of a little bit like Johnny, who came after him, actually. I think they were the same sort of level. I think they were the same kind of players. And I think after 10 years of Lulic on that left side, Lazio tried for a couple of years to find a new player instead of Lulic. And I don't think even now we haven't really found that person. Lulic was just a giant.
Yeah, his eye is not working really well. Well, better than all those players we mentioned already, but I was expecting a little bit more. Going back to Riza Durmisi, we know he's on the Lazio's trying to sell him this winter. Are there any rumors of he coming back in Denmark?
No, I think the rumors that a couple of years ago, I think there were rumors that he was going back to Brøndby, which is the other Copenhagen club in Denmark. Actually the champions right now in Denmark. He's from that city. He's from that team. But I think something went wrong, and it kind of turned a little bit sour. He said something in the press, and they said something back. And
something.
Brøndby is right now doing a sort of remodeling of the club, and they're not paying big wages at all. Riza Durmisi, even if he's not playing at Lazio, he's making 3, 4, 5 times as much as he would anywhere in Denmark.
Wow.
So I think he's kind of happy just living in Rome, having a good time, and not playing any football, But he's only 27, so you would think that he wanted to get more out of his career.
Well, he posted something yesterday on Instagram saying like he's ready for a new challenge, etc. For example, last year he accepted Salernitana that was in Serie B. So, from a player like that, you will be a little bit surprised to accept such a challenge going to Serie B, but he took it. The other problem with Durmisi is he's often injured. Even in Salernitana, he started well. I think he made a nice assist. Then he got injured, missed a couple of matches, came back, again, another injury. He's a little bit too injury prone, I think, to compete for a top level team, right?
Yes, I think you're completely right. I think that he has too many injuries, but I don't know that he's ever had the level to play for a team like Lazio. I mean, maybe if Lazio turns out to be a team that'll turn out like number 8, 9, but Lazio is trying to get to the Champions League just about every year. I mean, that's the objective, and he's not Champions League material. He's just not. I mean, that's just my opinion.
Talking about material, we know that Lazio this winter is trying to sign a couple of players, a number 9, maybe a central defender, a left back. We just talked about Lulic problems, etc. Have you seen any type of player who could be useful for Lazio in your area?
I mean, it's so difficult I think especially the defenders and the midfielders. I think there are decent players in Denmark. There's a couple of midfielders I think that would be interesting. I mean, attacking wise, it's just the level is just not good enough. I mean, the Italian league is the 3rd highest in the world if you look at the UEFA rankings. The Danish league, I think, is number 15 or 16. And it's known as a very good defensive league, but not a very good offensive one. So I don't think anybody basically in the Danish league would reinforce Lazio's team. I mean, I'm so sorry. I mean, anybody would be better than Muriqi. Muriqi, I never understood. From the day he got on the pitch, I basically thought, what is this guy doing? How did we pay 22 million euros for this guy? I mean, he just needs to go really, really quickly. We need another striker next to him. Maybe we can go back and get Caicedo back. I like him a whole lot.
Yeah, he's a little bit. This season he has been injured a lot, so it's very unfortunate. I don't know if you are following us on YouTube or on Twitch. Carsten, can you show your cup, because it's simply amazing. I don't know if you can see it. There's Diego Armando Maradona in the cup.
He's my big idol. Like we just talked about before we went on air. He's the greatest player of our generation, you and I. I actually met him many years ago in 2006 in Buenos Aires.
Wow, that's great. Yeah, I think, probably the best football player I ever saw playing, better than Ronaldo, Messi. I think it's not a discussion. It was a so complicated football to play, especially for attackers at that age, because defender could do pretty much everything, and he was still able to do amazing thing. And I think one of the biggest difference, Carsten, is that he was able to win with Napoli, the Scudetto, and it was a good Napoli, but not amazing. He was able to win the World Cup with Argentina, and it was an unbelievable Argentina. We see Messi struggling with the national team. We saw Cristiano Ronaldo struggling with Juventus. So, I really think that he could change a team and probably was one of the few players able to do that.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, he could basically pull the whole team just basically on his shoulders. I don't see a lot of players today who can do anything like that. I really don't. He's a big idol. Did you ever see him live
No, I don't think so live. I don't
on
think
the
so.
pitch?
No, no. I remember Lazio
no.
Napoli at the Stadio Flaminio, the small stadium. We won 3-0 and Diego was playing, but my dad didn't bring me to the stadium. So, no, I didn't see it. I know it's a little bit of a stretch moving from Maradona to Botheim, but this winter there have been a lot of rumors of Lazio signing this striker, which didn't end it to Lazio, luckily. And I remember texting you, and you said, I don't think he's the right player for Lazio. I guess you were right. But do you think Lazio need a player like Botheim, very similar to Ciro Immobile, or someone like Murici, good with the header, but obviously in general a little bit at a higher level?
Yeah, I never understood the Murici signing. Even if Murici had been a little bit better, it would have been completely not understandable for me at all. I don't think we need a big, strong attacker. I think we need someone a little bit like Immobile who can work next to Immobile. I would prefer someone like Correa. I really like Correa. I think he was a great player, great dribbler, a very unique player. And also, I think we need another striker who is okay with the fact that he's not starting, that he will play the games that Immobile is not playing. Muriqi is a completely different player than Immobile. He can't hold up the ball. He has no skills very close to the other people at all. He doesn't really get a lot of fouls. He's not a very good finisher either. I don't know what he's doing on our team. He's been there for 2 years and he's done absolutely nothing. I think Botheim reminded me a little bit of Immobile the few times I've seen him. But from what I've heard from Norway, Bodø Glimt, which is the team that basically humiliated Roma a few months ago, which was very funny, I think. They have a great coach. They don't necessarily have great players, but the coach is amazing. So what people are saying in Norway and in Denmark is that it's a little bit dangerous to buy players from that club because they're not necessarily as good as they look right now. They just have a really, really good coach. Botheim, I think, came from Rosenborg, and he couldn't even get in the squad from Rosenborg. I think they got him for free even. So, I mean, suddenly he's just gotten very, very good, or maybe he has a very good coach.
Rumors are Lazio is looking to sign Burkhardt. I hope I pronounced it well. The striker of Mainz. I don't know if you saw him playing a little bit. What's your impression about him?
I don't know anything about Burkhardt at all. I'm sorry, I can't comment on that. I don't know the German league that well. I mean, I know I should. It's my neighboring league, but I don't. It's not really my.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. Premier League is the top league you're following in Denmark, right? By far.
Yeah, not for me, but yes, people from Denmark.
In general, I'm talking about
Norway, Sweden. The Premier League is above everything else. Yes, certainly.
We have to say that Premier League has been exceptional when we're talking about marketing, promoting their brand, especially outside England. They have been amazing. In Asia, a lot of football fans have a Premier League team, but even in Europe, they all watch the Premier League. Even though I have to say, I've been living in England, it's not the best league in the sense that some matches are becoming boring. You see always the same team fighting for the title, but their marketing, the promotion has been exceptional. Serie A should learn from them, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I think they are trying to copy some of it. I know that there's a brand manager working in Milano right now. He's Danish. His name is Kasper Stølsvig. He basically got to Milan, AC Milan. He works for AC Milan right now. He was there 2 years ago. He came and he's been working for Manchester United before he came to to AC Milan. And I think Ivan Gazidis basically fetched him in England. And he's been very vocal about how far behind the Italian teams were. He said he came to AC Milan and it was a mess. They were so far behind the English teams, and I think they're trying to turn it around. And I think they're looking to England to sort of learn a little bit, and I think that's a great idea because the English clubs are so rich, incredibly rich.
Yeah, yeah, and all due to the TV rights they sell abroad, especially in the US market, in the Asian market. So they're very good in that. We have to admit. And unfortunately, our club is years behind everyone. We don't have a social account in English. We don't have a Twitch channel. I mean, we are simply ages behind everybody. And again, this makes it very complicated for Lazio fan abroad to keep in touch, to stay updated with all the latest from your team, from Lazio, right? Because where do you go and listen or watch or read the latest news about Lazio? It's very difficult.
But that's why this, I think actually this podcast is very important. I mean, I don't watch Twitter and YouTube, but I always listen to your podcast.
Oh, thank you very much.
And no, but it's very important. I mean, it's the only one we have in English. We can't follow anybody. Your English is good. Alistair's is not so good, but he's learning.
Yeah, I know. I told him.
Yeah. And I think it's very important that you guys keep this up because there's a lot of people out there who can't follow. I don't understand Italian only a little bit, so I have to have this going. But I completely agree with you that it seems that the club is not doing anything to basically please the fans, and I think they have fans, Lazio.
Yeah. I have to tell you, well, maybe you know it even better than me, that traveling around the world, living in different country, I always met Lazio fan. So, it cannot be a simple coincidence. France, England, wherever I went, I found Lazio fans. So there are Lazio fans all over the world, and they are not only Italian. They are French, Swedish, Denmark. So, a lot of people doesn't speak Italian, and we don't provide content for them. And it's simply terrible, unacceptable, especially considering that, it's 2022. We are so far behind. So we need to improve. But I hope we're going to get there eventually.
I think basically what happened with Lazio was that the 90s were so great. They had this amazing team, beginning with Signori, and then the team that won the championship in 2000. I think that may be the best club team of all time. Is completely amazing. And I know that the people that I know who are Lazio fans, basically they got into the team back then. Such a beautiful team and such an amazing team.
Yeah, definitely. Going back to Sarri. Did you like the idea of Lazio signing Sarri? And what do you think Iglitare, if he's still going to be the sport director, need to do to provide the right team to Maurizio Sarri to achieve his goals that should be Champions League?
I mean, that's a huge question. I really like the fact that we signed Sarri. Sarri, I think, basically provided miracles for Empoli back in the day, and then for Napoli later. Basically, he should have had one Scudetto, maybe even two Scudettos, when Napoli were the best team that they've been for many, many years. Very unlucky that he didn't get that Scudetto. I like him. I think that it's going forward. We had some disastrous games once in a while.
Yeah.
When we played in Napoli, I remember you weren't too happy, and I wasn't either. But I believe in Sarri, and I know that some people don't. But at some point, you have to nail a coach down and then say, this is the guy we believe in. We will give him a year, maybe even 2 years to build up a team. And if it takes 2 years to build this team up, I mean, that's fine with me. I can live with that.
Do you think we have the right players at the moment? For example, Felipe Anderson started really, really well. Then he disappeared, as often happens. And in the last couple of matches, he improved. But do you think that Felipe Anderson, Marusic, Cataldi, I think that's a key position, are the right players, or Lazio should be going out and sign the right players for Sarri?
I mean, basically, I think we have a president who's not going to spend a lot of money. He never does. So that's going to be difficult. I think we have some good players. Husay that he brought in from Napoli, I think, has been a little bit of a disappointment.
Mm.
He knows the system so well that I actually thought he would be, a player who would play all the games and do really well. But I think that he's actually been responsible for a few goals and a few losses. So I'm not too crazy about him. Marusic, he's just one of those people. He always pops up. You think that he's down, and then he pops up and he plays really well, and he can play like he's like a Swiss knife. He can play all over the pitch. And I think Sai actually likes that a whole lot. The problem is someone like Lazzari, who's a player that I like really, really well. I mean, where's he? Is he really going to go? He doesn't. He's not playing much, and I don't really understand why he's not playing for Sarri. But maybe he's just not the right fit for the system.
I fear that Lazar is going to be sold in January because, as you were mentioning, Lotito doesn't spend a lot of money. Well, you can sell Lazzari for 10, 15 million euros, and with that money, go and sign a Vice Immobile or a central defender. So Lazzari is going to be probably the sacrifice Lazio is going to make this winter. So that could be a little bit the revolution we're talking about. Selling Lazzari, who for me was a top player with Inzaghi, and sign the right players we need. At the same time, we have to talk about Pedro. I thought he must be the biggest surprise of this last 6 months. Such an experienced player. He has been terrible with Roma, and he come to Lazio, and he's a completely another player. Great performance, a lot of goal, assist. I don't know.
And there's not really a lot to say. I think that he's been, if not our best player this spring. Maybe that's Immobile, as it always is, but he's very close. I think he's maybe even been better than Immobile. He's just so decisive. Every time he gets the ball, he never plays like an alibi pass or anything like that. He's always trying things, and he basically gets away with it a lot of times. I think he's a huge weapon, especially when Immobile is not on the pitch. I think he's such a big weapon. Whenever he gets the ball, he's so direct. So maybe one of the best signings we've ever made, and we didn't pay a penny for him.
No.
So that's a big triumph. Yeah, he's amazing. He really is.
Plus, Roma gave us the player for free, so that makes it even better, right?
I agree. Yes.
I have to ask you this question because, we talked about it a lot. Luis Alberto and Milinkovic-Savic. Do you think, A, they can play with Sarri ball, and B, they can play together with Sarri ball? Because in the last, I think, 4 matches, Luis Alberto and Milinkovic-Savic didn't start together. Basic came in a lot of times, and Luis Alberto was a substitution in the second half. Do you think they can play together in the Sarri scheme? Because, they are 2 of the best players of the club.
Offensively, they're amazing. They're so good going forward, but I think that defensively, they're lacking something. I'm not saying they're lazy, but it's not really in their nature to think about the defense so much. If you saw and I know you see all the games, but the Udinese game, you were probably on Olimpico for that game. The 4-4 game. Yeah, but Udinese, they scored 3 goals on counterattacks, and they were 4 against 3, 4 against 2, and some of the midfielders they're not tracking back. And I don't think Milinkovic-Savic is very good at tracking back, and I don't think Luis Alberto is very good at it either. And maybe that's what he's thinking. I can't have the midfield consisting of 3 players, and then 2 of them are kind of what we in Denmark would call luxury players. So players who only do what they want to do and don't really do the hard work. You need people to do the really, really hard work for Lazio. And I think Cataldi is a good player. I think that his distribution is really good. But I am missing Lucas Leiva a little bit. And maybe that's one of the reasons why we are letting in so many goals this year, is that Lucas Leiva he's a little bit of a dirty player, but he's one of those players that I think you need.
Do you think we need someone better there instead of Cataldi, or bring back Leiva? Because one of the things, as you was mentioning, is Lazio is allowing too many counter-attacks. Already our defense is not great, but allowing other teams to be, 1 man up, 2 men up in some circumstances against our Lazio defense, that's a huge risk, a huge danger that we cannot allow. If we put near to Luis Alberto and Milinkovic Savic a more defending midfielder, do you think that's going to help? Or you think anyway with those two players there, we won't find the right balance?
It might help if we get a better number 6, a better central midfielder who will be who's like who runs a lot, who's very physically strong. Then it might be possible to have Milinkovic Savic and Luis Alberto on the same pitch. But you need somebody who's like a dynamo. I mean, almost like a Kante for Chelsea or something like that. And we can't. Lazio's not going to be able to find a player like that, and we're certainly not going to be able to pay for him.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest problems. Another problem we face this year is the goalkeeper. I don't know why we started with Reina, even with Sarri. I thought we could change something. Then finally Strakosha came in. Now we're in January, and both keepers have the contract ending this June. There haven't been rumors about renewing the contract of either players, Strakosha or Reina. This could be a problem going forward. Do you think Lazio should try to sign one of those two? And do you believe these rumors of Kepa coming to Lazio this summer? And do you think that could be the solution for the problem?
I mean, Sarri knows Kepa really, really well, obviously. So I think that's one of the reasons why these rumors came out there. I don't know that he's... the thing is, Vittorio, I really, really like Strakosha. I liked him before Reina suddenly started. I know that Reina's distribution is a little bit better. He's but Strakosha's distribution is not bad at all. It's never been bad, And also he saves a couple of shots, and I don't see Reina doing that. Anything that's basically on goal is in the goal. So I would love for Lazio to make up with Strakosha. Also, Strakosha was in the Lazio youth department. He's one of our products. I think that he should stay, but maybe that ship has already sailed. I'm not sure about that. Kepa, I don't know about that. If they want to sign a really young goalkeeper and maybe stick with him for a few years, I mean, when you get a keeper, they will make mistakes once in a while. Strakosha's mistake in the EuroLeague was one of the biggest I've ever seen, basically. But I actually trust Strakosha. But if you keep taking him out and not using him at all, you're going to spoil his confidence completely. His self-confidence is going to be gone. So either you patch it up with Strakosha and you sign a new contract, and then you say he's our guy. He's still young for a goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Or you find somebody else.
And one thing important is, as you was mentioning, he comes from the Lazio academy, and you have to have 4 players from your academy. And Lazio at the moment has just 3, and 2 are goalkeepers. Adamonis, the third goalkeeper, is again coming from the Lazio Primavera, and Cataldi. So, we're already missing one. If you sell Strakosha, then you will be down to 2. So this creates a little bit of problem. Unfortunately, as you were saying, the ship could be already sailed. Does Strakosha believe that he's going to be the starter next year going through the rest of the season? I don't know if he's sure about that. And maybe he's willing to see if the markets offer something different. Maybe a Premier League club could be coming and offer a huge contract to Strakosha, and he could be gone. So this is a huge issue, I think, for our club, because I'm a little bit old style, I would say. I want a goalkeeper who first is a shot stopper and then is good with his feet, because that's the key of the goalkeeper, right? He has to stop shots and then need to be good with his feet. But yeah, it's a little, and I don't see, to be honest with you, amazing goalkeeper around the world. Or they are very, very expensive, or they are simply not good enough. So, having Strakosha would be good. I mean, they're talking even about Meret. I don't rate Meret very, very much. He's never started with Napoli, and every time he starts, he does mistakes. So, I would think that Meret would be a bad signing for Lazio, even if he's still young.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree with you. I'm not very impressed with Meret. I'm really hoping that we can patch things up with Strakosha, because who's better than Strakosha? I think Strakosha played great for Lazio 2-3 seasons in a row. I don't know what happened. I actually don't know what happened. You get in a really old goalkeeper who's supposed to be a backup, and then he basically takes over for him in practice. That can happen, but but if you take somebody who's 36 years old and you kick out the goalkeeper who's 24, you're also kind of shooting yourselves in the foot financially.
Yeah.
Because what are you going to do when that goalkeeper is too old? You're never going to get any money for him. You know, the young goalkeeper, even if he makes a few mistakes, I never understood why Strakosha was pulled out of that team. You know, but maybe Inzaghi saw something I didn't. I think he knows more about football than I do.
Well, probably he see every day the training, so maybe he saw something there that he liked about Reina, and maybe he wanted to push Strakosha a little bit more. Who knows? Going back to this last 6 months with Sarri, who would be your top player of the 6 months for Lazio, and who the disappointment of this starting 6 months with Sarri?
I would say Pedro is the best player that Lazio have had. I mean, not even considering the fact that we got him for free, which is, you know, you just can't understand. That's amazing. The biggest disappointment, I mean, I don't think Muriqi has played enough to call him a disappointment. I think probably Patrick, you know, I think he should be gone from Lazio, not playing anymore at all. I mean, basically, this should be his last match, I think.
Well, his contract is expiring in June as well as Strakosha. Again, no rumors of signing. I hope this won't happen. I have nothing against Patrick. I simply think he's not good enough for Lazio's level. So I think that's
I agree. I think we could try to get De Vrij back from Inter. I mean, he was our best defender for 3. I know we can't do that.
I think it's too expensive. But
yeah, he's too expensive. His wages are too high now.
Do you think he would fit in a 4-man defense?
I don't know enough about that. I mean, he's played in a 3-man defense almost all the time. Ever. So I'm not sure about it. I actually don't know if he plays in a 4-man defense for Holland. Do you know that?
I don't remember. I think he does, honestly. I think in the World Cup when we signed him, he was playing in the 4-man defense in Brazil. So, but it never worked out that well, right? So I don't know. But yeah, it would be amazing to have him back. But he wants too much money. One of the reasons why he's probably not staying with Inter is because he wants an increase of salary, and Inter is not able to afford him. Imagine Lazio. I mean,
yes, that's a very good point. That's not going to happen. But I think he was such an intelligent defender. You know, I think he can play back 4, back 3. I don't think that's a problem for him. But he's a world-class defender, and he probably doesn't belong in Lazio anymore. I really do.
Carsten, before we wrap it up, do you agree? Do you think that Lazio is going to make 3 signings this winter, or do you think it's too much? Looking at the past of Lazio signing in the winter transfer market.
Well, before we sign off, I'd like to ask you a question, because I don't understand why our financial state is so bad now. Because so correct me if I'm wrong here, but when you qualify for the Champions League, you basically get 40 to 50 million euros paid by UEFA.
Yeah.
And when we sold Correa this summer, we got about 30 million euros for him. So that's about 70, 80 euros. And I don't remember us spending 70, 80 euros on players. So where is that money?
Well, the thing is, obviously with COVID, Lazio lost a lot of money. We didn't have any season ticket holders. We didn't have any body going to the stadium. So pretty much the money we got for the Champions League went into the hole we had for the COVID. And the Correa money, unfortunately, is a loan with rights to buy. Okay. And the money will come from the 1st of January. And the index that is called in Italy, Indice di Liquidità, that blocks Lazio transfer market, is counting the balance sheet at the 30th of September. So that money and the money of the sponsor, because Lazio signed Binance on October. So those 10 million euros won't be signed. So for this reason, Lazio have to sell before buy a player in January. But this rule is stupid, because clubs like Milan, Inter, and Roma that are in big debt are able to sign players because the owner is putting money in the company, which Lotito obviously is not doing. So it's not a rule that blocks team in financial issue like Roma. It's simply a stupid rule that blocks club that auto-finance themselves, like Lazio, Napoli, and those type of clubs. So it's a little bit silly. But yeah, Lazio has to sell. We know that probably today Lukaku is going to be announced for Vicenza, which is surprising signing. Vavro and Johnny are close to go back to Spain, which is a good rumor. And then after that, Lazio will be able, hopefully, to sign. So let's see what happens. I think it's going to be a very important transfer market session for Lazio, because we have to keep to sell those players that has nothing to do with Sarri ball and provide those players that Sarri wants.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's important to get some of the players that Sarri wants. I think one of the things that Sarri actually did in his other clubs was that he was very good at transforming some of the players from a certain role to another role. I mean, if you look at Napoli, Dries Mertens used to be a winger, and then suddenly they got some injuries, and he put him in center, and he scored 33 goals or whatever. I mean, that's just one example, but I think that he's good at maybe getting some of the players to understand the way that he plays, because he doesn't really compromise. And this is what I was hoping, that he would get Lazzari, because I think Lazzari is such a quick player.
Yeah.
He's improved so much the last couple of seasons. I just don't understand why he's not basically trying to get him into the team. But if he doesn't get him into the team, I hope that Lazio will be paid a substantial amount for Lazzari. I mean, I'm talking 10+ million euros.
Yeah, I think so as well. And I was surprised to see Radu coming in, starting last Lazio match at the left back instead of Lazzari. I think that's a clear signal that Lazzari is out, unfortunately, because I like the player very much. And the other thing, Carsten, I'm a little bit surprised because Raul Moro was playing at the beginning of the season, and now he's pretty much not having a chance. I was hoping that switching from Inzaghi to Sarri, some of the youngster Lazio would have more chance to play. Instead, it's not happening. What's your take on that?
I think my take is that there's a few players who have done really, really, really well. Zaccagni, I think, looks like the real deal after a while.
Yeah.
Very much the real deal. And isn't he playing sort of the same position as Raul Moro?
Yeah.
And Pedro has done incredibly well. We talked about him. And also Felipe Anderson is up and down. He's very up and down. But he's a player that Sarri likes a whole lot. So I think that he's just facing some really, really stiff competition. I mean, I wish he could be a striker, because we don't have a second striker. We don't have a second striker, you know. So if he was that position, I think that he would get more playing time. The problem is that the position that he has, I think we have a lot of fairly good players.
Yeah, it's probably the best position we're having at the moment, because Zaccagni came back from the injury. He's playing great. Pedro is a surprise. Felipe Anderson, as you were mentioning, is up and down, but when he's up, he's amazing. So same thing for Luca Romero. He's not playing at all because he's even behind Raul Moro. So it's quite complicated for this youngster. Would you send them on loan in January, or do you think it's better to say they are close to this champion to improve?
It depends on what Sarri sees in them, how close they are to the team. He might have an idea that some of these players are close to being the kind of players that he wants. I think we should probably keep in the team so they can train, practice with Sarri and understand the system. If they're far away from the system right now, and Sarri basically thinks they're not good enough now, they need a year or two in a Serie B club or somewhere, I think that should be the solution. But I don't know. I don't see practice. I never see the practice round. So we don't know. I mean, there might be a player who's just coming up, who's doing really well. We just don't know.
Unfortunately, Lazio doesn't allow anybody to watch the training, so nobody really knows, just Sarri. Which, again, this is a problem. I know in modern football it's like that, but I remember when I was a little kid and my dad was bringing me Saturday morning watching Lazio warm training. That was amazing. And I wish football would be going back to those days where you could watch training, cheer up the players, etc. I feel that the gap between the fan and the player is getting bigger and bigger, which is a issue.
I certainly agree with you. It's just become more of a business issue. All in all, they don't trust anybody. They think that people can bring cameras, and they can. People can bring their
It's true.
phones are great cameras now, so that is a little bit of a problem. But I think that maybe you train once a week and you say you have an open practice on Wednesdays or something like that. That would be a great service to the fans out there. I completely agree with you. Yeah, certainly.
Thank you again, Carsten, for joining me. It has been a pleasure. You have to definitely come back. And let's hope that Lazio start the season with a victory against Empoli in 2 days. We won't be with Acerbi, so we have already problems in the defense. Do you think Patrick will be starting? I think it is the only solution, right?
I really don't. I really hope Patrick will not be starting at all. I know that we have actually we've beaten Empoli the last six times in a row.
Wow.
So let's hope we're going to continue that.
Thanks again for joining, Carsten. And to all Lazio fans all over the world, thanks for joining us. Remember to subscribe to our channel on Twitch, YouTube, and follow our podcast wherever you listen to our podcast.
Yeah,
Goodbye,
I never
everybody.
miss one of your podcasts. So, I think I recommend it to everybody.
Thank you very much, Carsten. Bye.